Isaac, thank you for coming on. This is
No
my
problem.
co-founder partner, Chad.
Nice to meet you,
Mm,
Chad.
You too.
Sort of the idea behind this is like we want to highlight entrepreneurs. I know I've talked to you before about, this similar thing. And one thing that really stuck out to me was you're like, do you know any good podcasts around that like we can help sponsor or whatever? And I was like, no, I don't. So maybe I should do that. I've been helping podcasts for, 5, 6 years now. And I'm like, honestly, now it's time for me to just do my own. And Chad's been in real estate for a long time. And I think we bring, a good balance to each other. And so we started this podcast, and you came across my mind, and I was like, let me get Isaac on, and we can have a discussion and a conversation about your expertise, where you come from, etc. So getting us started off, if you would not mind telling us a little bit about some of the things you have going on, but more importantly, how you even got started in doing that.
The
Yeah,
story of
no,
who you
definitely.
are.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad I was able to kind of spark the idea for this podcast. So that's awesome. And thank you very, very, very much for having me on, especially as the first guest. But yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur all my life. I've always tried different ideas. It's just never had that vision that I would be stuck in a kind of a corporate office. And I tried it. I tried to go that route, but just being an entrepreneur naturally, just it's always ideas have always kind of pulled me a different way. So, kind of like where we are now, I have two businesses. One, a property management business that I started with my wife in 2020, and then the second business is Screaming Cat Ice Cream and Coffee, which we just launched 6 months ago. So two different types of businesses, but they they kind of go hand in hand because they're in the same building. Um, and being at the residential, property management business, it was like I wanted a coffee, excuse me, one afternoon, and I couldn't find myself one. And I'm like, hey, maybe I open up a coffee shop, and so they kind of played off each other, and it's great. But we prior to being in Jacksonville, Florida, where I am now, we were living in New York, and that's when I was working in finance. I was working in the client side of things and doing a lot of like PowerPoint decks, preparing Excel files with client portfolio assets and things like that, which really was gave me kind of like a good base and understanding of like how to work with clients, how like present their asset on paper, how to update them quarterly, and that all those skills and things that I've learned and watching all the other professionals that I worked with carried over to the property management real estate business. We took it the same way. We said we want to set the standard really, really high, and and treat people's investment properties the same way as the financial advisors treat other people's portfolios and things like that. Just keep it at this fairly high standard. And so we carried it over here, and we think we set a different bar, a different level with property management. And it's done really well. So throughout my life and my career, I've tried different career paths, different jobs, but it's interesting how kind of everything comes together. And you might think that a skill that you learned 10 years ago might not be relevant. Why am I learning this? But you find a point in your life where you are applying it, and it's like thankfully, like I learned that and I'm able to apply it. So yeah, it's been a long winding road, but we're very happy with where I am right now, and still very eager to continue to grow and expand the businesses that we have started.
So it sounds like, Isaac, you started to go down that corporate route. You picked up some knowledge and some skills, but you realized the corporate route wasn't for you. Tell me about like the cusp of that process and what that was like and when you realized it.
Yeah, that's a good question because like I really tried to immerse myself in where I was working at the time in New York. I was really giving it my all, but there was just something still kind of pulling me away. And so like I remember it was like 2017 or so. I was kind of My wife and I were kind of thinking like what would kind of be our next thing to do. Like we go to work, we're happy, we like our jobs, but we kind of had this vacant time of like there's something missing. And so we came across residential property management, investing in that, and something that we've never even done before. We never even owned a house. We've always rented. And that was like, hey, maybe this is something doable. And just kind of talking to a few people who are already exploring the space or in it, gave us confidence that we could do it ourselves too. So we purchased our first property in 2018, and then we purchased the next one maybe 8 months later, and it was like, hey, this is pretty cool, like.
You kind of found the
So
strategy, and you realize you can unlock some equity, pull some dry powder out, redeploy, redeploy, redeploy. That's
exactly, and that is exactly how we bought the third property. I did get to a point where it's like in my career in New York, it was like, do I continue to with the career path that I was on, or do I break away and do the real
I would
estate?
have to imagine probably on a good route, upward trajectory. So that was, and you were married at the time, but so you have a little more responsibility, and it's hard to leave like a comfortable, steady, upward trajectory job and kind of take something that you knew was working. Was it like, did you put a dollar amount on it? Was it like, how did you like, tell me about when you quit your job?
Yeah, so when we were purchasing our properties, we were very transparent. We were writing blogs about our experience and our stories.
Mhm.
People started reaching out to us about it, and then we started helping other people buy property in Jacksonville. And then someone said, "Hey, can you manage our property?" And I'm like, "Hey, we only manage our own, but we can help you." And they said, "Please, like we trust you." So then I was like, "Okay, what's the standard fee for this? It's 10%." And then I started kind of doing the math. I'm like, "Hey, if we manage 50 properties at 10%, we could make this much, and 100 properties, and then 500." And I was like, those numbers, the potential to get there outweighed the salary that I was receiving at my current job. And so that's what drew me and drew us to going this and taking the risk of leaving our jobs and saying, like, let's build this up because we just saw the potential that was there. And so, yeah, it is risky leaving it. And I think we were kind of cautious along the way, making sure we had some sort of kind of reserves and just not overspending and being smart about it. But the potential is what drew us to, feeling confident that we can leave our jobs and do that.
Yeah, or the unlimited potential ultimately.
And I think that that's key because I think, Chad, you hit on a great point. Is like a lot of people, it's not the risky part of like starting a business. It's the risky part of leaving something that's working. But like you said, Isaac, capped potential versus going to something that's not existent and has a lot of potential. And I think that that is honestly, in essence, that is entrepreneurship, isn't it? It's like, I much rather go for this potential because if I don't, then I'll always be left with what if, as opposed
Right.
to like, if I stay here, I know for a fact it's going to be good. Everything's going to be, you know, that's going to be steady. But if I go here and I have that option and the ability to hit that potential, I'll at least know that I gave it a try.
Absolutely. And I'd like to add on to it as well as like, we were starting this venture. Of course, we had our jobs, but when it's like, and I'd wake up an hour or two earlier, work on it. We'd come home, work on it. So we gave it a lot of extra hours. But of course, there's always a point where it's like you have to turn that side business into the main business. And so you can only really take it to that next level once you leave your main job and being able to devote your best day hours and energy into that side business. And that's what when I started feeling that at my job, where I was like, I'm devoting my best hours to the wrong business, to the wrong place, and I need to put it here. That's when I knew confidently, like, this is the time to do that.
And just give us a ballpark of like how long that was. It's like you say you get the job in New York. From then to, okay, I'm working the best hours of the day on this, to then I'm gonna pick up and leave, or I'm gonna buy my first property, or leave my job. What was that like time frame? Was it like 6 months? Was it 6 years? How long was that?
It was probably, yeah, it was probably around a year is when the idea started kind of coming about. And so, yeah, it was probably around a year, but definitely the last 6 months, it really kicked up. So, mind you, we relocated to Jacksonville in May 2020. So, kind of the peak of COVID
Yeah. We
when
live
things,
in New York, where should
yeah,
Florida.
exactly. It definitely, sped things along, but yeah, probably around a year was when the idea started, and then definitely that last 6 months, and when COVID was going on, it was like now's the time to relocate. It was
I think so going from that, what made you get into the retail ice cream coffee business? I know at the beginning you said like I couldn't find any good coffee, or like close to where I was.
All
Was
right.
that it?
Kind of. Actually, before that, to maybe a few 2 years ago or so, we've always wanted to get into the food space somehow. Whether it was like we kind of looked at like cheeseburgers or burgers or other kind of things, but we never really had like a solid idea. But coffee was just always something that is
Why
passion.
why the food industry? Why we're in real estate, we're doing well. I
Hmm.
got to get into food. Why
Let's
food?
worst business possible.
Yeah. So it's the I like the idea of like a friendly service business where you can instantly provide gratification to people. People come in,
I'm super
they're
grateful for that.
looking for
Yeah.
something. Yeah, they're looking for something, to be happy with, whether it's food or it's a drink or smoothie, whatever it is. And it's just, like it's really nice. And that's something that, we see here all the time. And it's amazing to have created a space where people can enjoy that. But probably like 2 years ago or so, we were actually looking at a coffee shop to buy, and we were really close to purchasing the coffee shop. The deal fell through at the end. They accepted another offer from someone else. But throughout that process, I was able to see the financials of the business. I was able to see the strategy. I was able to see all the equipment that they use, everything from top to bottom. And not having any food experience myself, I was like, hey, this is doable and it looks like a lot of fun. Like now I felt like I can do this on my own. So as opposed to buying into a franchise, like we were really, really confident at that point. It was just a matter of finding a space.
That's what you were going to do, is you were going to buy into a franchise, then you saw the financials and you said, I could do this on my own.
So actually, well, the one that we were going to buy into wasn't a franchise,
Okay.
but I'm saying like
It framework.
it
Yeah.
provided the framework.
Got it.
And that's
Yeah.
an interesting point because you had talked about again going down the corporate route, but you had also touched on the point of how you did all the things right to earn the trust, the spreadsheets and the all
Mhm.
those things, the systems to create it. And it
Correct.
sounds like a lot of that transferred over in combination with your just intrinsic desire, it sounds like, to make people happy. And how do you think those two things combined have created or contributed or fueled success even more?
Yeah, so it definitely has. Like we really think about all the steps, all the processes in both businesses, but particularly, like let's say in Streaming Cat, we're looking at everything from, when someone's coming in, where are they forming the line at, where are the team members at, how are they preparing for the rushes. So it's really we've really honed in on the processes of from inventory management, scheduling, everything. So, we're taking the approach as like, we're not just running this as like an individual shop, but like, let's set this up with the potential to scale, to grow this larger. And so if you have that mindset of like growing this as like a large operation with multiple locations, you really have to get all the processes and everything down correct in the first spot. And then from like the Excel and PowerPoint side of things and all that, like doing the analysis where I was of portfolios and whatnot, like you are able to learn how to analyze like different key metrics in the business. We're looking at how many toppings are sold per an ice cream scoop. Are we making sure that we're getting enough of those sold, or how many small, medium, large drinks are being sold? All these different metrics that we're just kind of looking at, not really knowing if anything is going to provide true value yet, but just trying to see if we see patterns and things like that.
I think that's the key though. I think it's not necessarily like, oh, is there something in the metrics that's giving us, an unfair advantage? It's the knowing your metrics that's giving you an unfair advantage, because most people
Mhm.
don't know their numbers. And just knowing that, like, hey, I know my numbers, that already gives you an advantage, and that allows you
Mhm.
to scale when you do open new locations. Like, these numbers should be looking like this, and they're not. Now we can understand immediately what's going wrong, as opposed to like, oh, no one's coming in, what's going on? And it's like, oh,
Right.
let's try to figure it out now. So I think that is the
Mhm.
unfair advantage, is the knowing your numbers.
It is. Yeah, no, it's definitely key. And it is an area that a lot of small business owners, don't put a lot of focus on, especially the accounting and financial side of things. It's so important. You need to dedicate time to looking at that stuff. monthly, quarterly basis. It's just something that you can't just let it go throughout the year, and then come tax time, you're gonna finally sit down and look at this stuff. You have to look at it throughout the year. It's so
Uncle Sam gonna come knocking.
yeah, exactly.
Now, in that vein, how have you, if you have leveraged AI in your business and in businesses, because it sounds like a lot, you do have, property management, which of course can be very customer service heavy and data heavy and process heavy. How have you used AI, and what are some things that you're still looking to extract from it?
Yeah, and we definitely try to use AI where we can. We don't want it to slow down our current processes in any way right now because, just to say we're using it, but we are looking for ways to like supplement it, and enhance our business. But just such as the easy things are such as like create like ideas for content, for marketing, for social media, just kind of running different ideas off of that. Not saying like, hey, give me caption for this and then just copy pasting, but kind of give me kind of a few ideas and then
Developing,
right and then adding our personal
yeah,
touches to it. We don't want to sound like a robot and things like that. And then from the property management side, there's a lot of legalities that come with the side of business. So just kind of just getting some ideas or running over just different legal areas of things to kind of get a better understanding. Of course, not relying on it 100% because there's still errors and things like that that it may make. But kind of just maybe you know scanning through documents, or can you find this part in a document that says this. One kind of key area that I saw was like with an HOA, one of the properties that we're managing, the HOA said that we're required to send them the tenant's lease per the HOA document. And the HOA documents, the bylaws are like hundreds of
yeah.
pages. I'm like, exactly. So I'm like, hey, scan through this bylaws and let me know if this actually says this. And it didn't say it anywhere. So then I told the HOA, no, the bylaws don't mention this. And they never came back requesting that. But for me to actually read through that myself would take, days going
Right.
through all that legal jargon. You know,
Person before you probably did.
probably did, yeah. And it's
Didn't.
or didn't, but so it's things like that that kind of supplement. It just helps us. And we try to find places to use it, and it's new. So, I think everyone is trying to find what's the best use cases.
And it sounds like what's interesting is a lot of people seem very intentional when they say, we'll let AI produce it, but then we'll put our spin on it. Do you think
Mhm.
there's a stigma around kind of like AI produced content or ideas or even businesses? Or tell me about the perspective or the stigma that you might see or feel from that.
Yeah, I personally don't to like an extent. I know there's still things like with copywriting issues or stealing someone's idea, but kind of like just I see things and like an idea that I might get from someone else, and I'll put my spin on it. So I think we all kind of do that naturally as humans, but I don't really like have any negative views on like creating art so much from AI. I think it's fascinating, the technology behind it all. Like I'm really fascinated by it, by what can be done with it. And I think we're just at the very beginning stages. But I do know there's a lot of people who do view AI generated art as something that is, as a negative thing. I think their view is like that it's taking away work from a human artist that could be given to them. But I just see it as like another form of art, honestly. There's AI artists who are just using AI to make really amazing art. So, and the technology behind it is just really fascinating.
Yeah, I think as far as AI goes, I think we're in a phase right now where it's like time saving and money saving situations. I don't think people are actually, despite what social media tells you, I don't think people are making like real money off this unless you're like Nvidia or whatever. So I think the way that you said it was perfect. It's like I have this 100-page, encyclopedia that I need to read through. Put in AI, does it say this? No. Okay, cool. I'm moving on with my day. As
Right.
opposed to like write this 100-page contract for me, and it has a ton of mistakes, and it hallucinated halfway through all this stuff. And so I think we're in that
Mhm.
phase right now where it's like save me time and save me money, as opposed to as far as me and Chad were talking about the customer service agents. Like there are multiple customer service agents, and I do you have one hooked up? Because I know when we call, we get someone That's not
That
human.
is a new feature from the iPhone 17. When I so I just got the
Wow,
iPhone
And I got to
17, it says
upgrade.
yeah, it's and I get a ton of spam calls, and so it's like
nice.
spam call blocker. I'm like, yeah, let me try this out.
No, that's nice.
So yeah,
It's like having a front gate guard and
it,
being like, "Hey, do you have an appointment? No? Okay, bye."
you're
I
right.
mean, that's very interesting. Yeah, so I think we're in the phase now where it's like customer service, parsing through documents and stuff like that. I think that's the phase that we're in right now, as opposed to like, "Hey, go out there and make me money," or "Hey, no." I mean, there are me and Chad were talking about there
I don't
are.
know. I totally disagree with like everything you're saying. I do agree with the part of basically if you can replace human hours with technology, like listen, people are resistant to AI. I mean, when has technology ever won the bet? Like, would you ever short technology? No, it
Oh
wins
no.
every time. Or don't bet against it, you know? So it's going to happen. I mean, it's inevitable. So it really is. How do you not only adapt to it, but get ahead of the curve with it, leverage it? Because you could do something that you might think like, oh shit, like everyone knows how to do this, like whatever.
Right.
Well, actually, that would cost the CTO of Cushman and Wakefield or whatever JLL. They spend $800,000 on hiring an engineer and doing all this stuff because no one knows what AI is and et cetera, because they're analyze Python or whatever the old script is. But I mean, it shows how much, but which is
Yeah.
crazy because I've built so much in the past couple weeks, just with this vibe coding stuff, and you talk to it, and then you start to like, oh my God, how did I spend $600 on AI credits already? But no, it's crazy the power of it. So to your point, it's cool to see where it's going
It, it is amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, I mean, people can launch websites very, very quickly now. They can write their own code, but yeah, it's really amazing, and I'm totally embracing it. It's if you're like you're saying, Chad, if you're not like on jumping, kind of getting on the bandwagon, it's gonna kind of keep on moving, and you not might not be with it. You know.
So
Well,
on a more granular level, Isaac, what are you doing right now? Because you and your wife manage the properties yourselves. It sounds like.
yeah, us and a team. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a
So
few people.
you manage the team. What is that workflow in that process like?
Yeah, it's so we started, just us two. We knew we had to do everything from taking listing pictures, or showing the properties, to doing all the accounting stuff. It was just us two, and all the marketing. We put a lot of effort into the marketing. So, but as we started growing, we hired our first assistant property manager. We were able to kind of shift some of the workload to her, helping out, dealing more directly with the tenants. And then, as we grew, we hired another person, maintenance person, a bookkeeper for the accounting. So my role now is much more out of the day to day operation part of it. It's more focused on the accounting part of things, the marketing, kind of all the other administrative tasks that you kind of have to go through as a business owner. And it's somewhere that I want it to really be, because like my dad owned a small business. He owned a printing business. And seeing other small business owners, what happens is that they get stuck in the day-to-day operation. And what happens is they can't like go out and get new
In their
clients.
business and not on it.
You're right. And they can't like focus on approving all the processes that they're in the business, they're in the operation, they can't do things that make it grow. So I wanted both my wife and I to be in these positions as like a real corporation is, where we're not in the day-to-day operation, but we're doing things that help the business grow. And my wife focuses much more on like the new business, new clients, onboarding all of them, and then the client relationships and managing that. Because we have such an awesome team that we're able to trust with the operation part of it, that of course we do oversee, we're able to handle the actual business side of things that every business needs to handle, and every small business owner wants to handle, but it's difficult because they're in the day-to-day operation.
Oh, go ahead, Drew. I'm sorry.
No, I want to talk about this a little bit more. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to start this podcast, because we're on social media all the time and we see entrepreneurs who are like, solopreneurs. Like, I just do this all by myself. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, like you sell a course, cool. Like, nothing wrong with that. But I want to talk to like people who, brick and mortar, coffee shops, real estate. Our goal is to go down the 40 under 40 list here in Jacksonville. But basically all
Nice.
these different people who are making real businesses and starting from the ground floor. And what I love to hear is that it's like, yeah, me and my wife did this, all of it. by
Mhm.
ourselves. And then we slowly replaced ourselves. Like to me, that's real business.
Yeah.
Is I learned how to do every single part of this business. And then I just showed one person how to do this part. And then I showed another person how to do this part. So
Mhm.
the one thing I really like from this conversation is that you tend to, I know you're a numbers guy, but I
Mhm.
know you tend to start a business with the idea of like how if I was going to replicate this business, how would I do it based on I'm not going to replicate me and my wife 4 times and do
Right.
4 different businesses like this. I'm going to build a team and then we're going to replicate the team or replicate the processes and
Mhm.
replicate the playbooks as we like to call it. And so how did that I'm more interested like how did that mentality come? Like how did you personally start thinking like that?
It started the first year that in 2020, we we had a really good first year with the business. There was a lot of interest in real estate, especially in Jacksonville from out of the country. So I forget the number, but we might have been managing 50 properties or so by the end of the year. But we were taking our end of the year Christmas vacation and we're still like having phone calls and things like that. We're in the cabin. We can't dedicate time to our daughter. And it was like, you know what? Like next year, come this time, we're still gonna have to probably work a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be less. And then year after that, it's less and less and less. So that was like the goal for like our end of the year vacations to be to a point where it's like we can be away for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, and not have to be involved in the business and be step away from, go on vacation like you would at a normal job. And so that was the goal. So it's like this annual end of the year goal. How much closer can we get to that? And it's trusting people. It's building everything up, like the playbook, like you said, and being able to, trust them and so that you can offload it to them and make sure that they're going to do the task. But yeah, that was kind of like our goal, and it just kind of happened that one year, and we were like, it just clicked, and that's been our goal. And this year we went to Nepal for 2 weeks, and I mean we're halfway around the world, but we have an amazing team that was able to run our business, and it was the first time that we've kind of put it to the test to that
Yeah.
extreme, but it worked.
And they say that, like, you have a real business when you leave and you come back and it's better than when you left it.
Yeah,
But hey, one
yeah.
step at a time. But, no, that's great though. Chad, I think
Mhm.
you had a question?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I was just curious. So you had mentioned your clients. Are your clients the property owners that are looking for managers, and do you focus it like on a particular single family, or what's the like? How did that part of the business develop?
Yeah, so our clients, so we're kind of in the middle. We kind of have two clients. Like one, the property owners are our clients. So we are their agent essentially. We manage their property. We'll find a tenant for their property, and then the other client,
Do
like
they
the
come to you with the money or with the property, or sometimes both?
Sometimes both. Initially, in the beginning, it was with the money, and so um, since we're a licensed brokerage as well, we can help you find property. We'll help you purchase the
Hey, I'm from Long
property.
Island. You're from Long Island. Let's buy a place in Jacksonville.
Exactly, and so we're a one-stop shop. We'll help you purchase the property. We'll get it ready to go, like rent ready, and then once the tenant is there, we'll manage it going forward as well. So we're that one-stop shop. And then the other side of it is the tenants, the residents who are living in the property. So they are essentially our client as well too, because if we're not addressing any of their maintenance issues, they're going to be unhappy with the property. They're going to not want to pay rent. They're going to want to move out, and all those things, of course, go back to the owners of the property. They're not collecting rent, and if they're not getting, the money to pay their mortgage and get their cash flow, what's the point of owning this property? So that's together, making both sides successful there, it makes us successful. So yeah, we're in the middle between two parties.
Have you syndicated money with those people and started to grow a portfolio, or do you have kind of your own thing going, or where do you see the future of that?
We have partnered with we have two partners where we have a 6 property portfolio and then another one with 2 properties. So we're not looking to like do like big syndications right now. Really select on the partnerships if we want to do more. But potentially in the future, maybe we'll do something larger, maybe like with multifamilies. That's always like a really good space to do big syndications with because of course you could purchase a lot larger of a property And then everyone kind of comes in with, their portion. You really have to, I think that's the area to be in, is if you're going to do the syndication, is like multifamilies.
Because I mean, I was thinking the exact same thing, Chad. It's just like I see what you're saying there, but it's like, what does drive you as an entrepreneur? Like what? Because obviously, when you set a goal, it's like, okay, this is in alignment with what I want my life to be like. What drives you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's tough to answer. I definitely, like, I think the big part of it is like a lifestyle of like a freedom, essentially. I think, like, it's not like a dollar figure or anything like that we really have set. It's more of like the freedom to be able to, like, I can, every day at 3 o'clock, I can go pick up my daughter when she gets out of school, go to drop her off in the morning. We could take, vacations and feel confident that we have, a good team supporting the businesses. It's and then the other part of it is just being able to grow something organically from scratch, from the ground up. I think that's always fun to see something grow, and people, on the other side of the world, that we're helping with our real estate business, helping them achieve their dreams of financial independence, or from the streaming cat side of things, like, creating a space where people come in and they're happy. They want to come in to be happy. They're buying ice cream and they're leaving happy. It's like there's a lot of things, that like just bring a lot of pleasure and joy out of being an entrepreneur. But yeah, definitely it's like the creating businesses from scratch and seeing something grow and flourish, and something that you
Creating a
probably
mission.
initially didn't even have an idea that it would become. It's really fun. It's really, really fun.
I think on the reverse side of that, when was there a time that you were like, you know what, this might not be it? Like, I might need to just go back to my job because it's way safer and this is just horrible. This is like, doesn't make sense to be doing this.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, excuse me. Thankfully, we really haven't had that experience. Like, since starting Third Stone, there was always that, like, okay, if this doesn't work out, I know, like, I could get a job, but we haven't been at a point where that kind of felt. There was definitely times where we felt like we're overworking ourselves, especially in the beginning. Like, we were working to 2, 3 in the morning, starting Third Stone Properties, working on the marketing material. There, for the whole first year, we never even turned on the TV. Like, it was just working, working, working. So it was very exhausting, but the rewards that come from it, whether it's like, helping this person purchase their first rental property, to helping someone move into a house where they're crying, saying thank you because we approved them to move into a house. That's just like the motivation to keep on going. And then in the project of doing Screaming Cat, like, we've never launched anything like that before. And so we hired an architect, we had to hire the contractors. I was managing everything, super stressful for a year. It took us, and there was a point where it was like we kind of wanted to abandon the project because the construction build out was so difficult. But we just continue to push through, push through, push through. And then now it's like it felt like a piece of cake. But like, it just, the rewards that come from going through those difficult times are just, it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah, I mean, if any listeners have not been to Screaming Cat, you got to go to Screaming Cat, because not just from the moment you walk in, you get greeted, but also the ice cream's amazing, the specialty coffees are amazing, but then the artwork. If you're a cat person, then you have to see the artwork, and if you're an art person, you have to see the cat artwork.
That
But
work.
yeah, the cat work,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cat
But
work.
but it is beautifully made. It's obviously not something you threw together. This is something
Like
that
a labor of love. Yeah.
yeah, this is
Creative outlet,
Absolutely.
it sounds like.
yeah, this is something that you
It
actually
really
put a
was.
lot of effort and attention to detail into, and so I think it is very, very, and it's in a nice part of, like, there's a lot of foot traffic there for sure. So I think if
Mhm.
you haven't been to Screaming Cat, you definitely need to go to Screaming Cat.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you.
Cat, have you been?
Yeah.
No, I have not been, but I'm in San Marcos. So
Yeah,
no,
Oh, yeah, you're not
no.
far at all. Yeah. Swing on over the bridge.
absolutely. Absolutely.
We're gonna
All
have
right. So
Screaming
what?
Cat coffee. I mean, today me and Chad both had Starbucks today, and it felt wrong. It felt wrong.
It,
Yeah.
It did. All right. So one last
I should have
question.
door dashed you guys some over there.
Hey, you know what? It's not too
Yeah.
late. It
But
is-
we do have a studio pending for in the coming months, and we'll definitely get you back on, Isaac, because I
Cool.
mean you need the full experience. But go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was, again, this is the beta round. So we're just trying to figure out like, how do we land it? Cause we know like we're getting close. I'm kind of thinking the rapid fire question thing. So we'll like roll with them a little bit, but I
Okay.
think what is the most overpriced thing that people obsess over and the most undervalued thing that no one cares about?
Like in real estate, I guess. And yeah. Overpriced thing. Like, let's see. I don't know. Maybe overpriced and underpriced. There's a lot of maintenance.
Well,
things that
it sounds
are-
like not to answer your question for you, but like and maybe this one's not a great question, but it sounds like investing in your bookkeeping was something you kind of made a point about. And I know,
the
like
business,
as
yeah.
real estate people, as salespeople, what I round close enough, and then
Yes.
yeah. So
Thank you. Thank you for jump starting that one. Yeah, absolutely. Accounting, bookkeeping, for sure worth every dollar. Super necessary. Do it 100%. And then marketing too. Any kind of marketing that you can do, social media, meta ads, definitely worth it. Definitely worth doing.
all right.
Do you have another one? Do you have another question?
Oh, are we gonna do multiple ones? Yeah, I kind of have a couple. All right. Let's see. I actually like this one. What's the smartest thing you did that made you look stupid at the time?
Smartest thing I did that made me look stupid. Oh man, where do I start?
In business, in business.
No college, no none of that stuff.
Or hey, forum.
Yeah, no. I don't know, man. We try to like look at a lot of stuff like what do you call it? Before we make certain decisions and try to like take all aspects of it, but to try to avoid as many mistakes as possible. But things happen. I mean, messing up on like a document here or there, but I don't have like a quick answer for that one there. Sorry.
Yeah, I have I have a quick question actually that I'm curious about. Is you and your wife work together, right? You guys have been doing that since you quit your job in New York, right? How do you has there ever been a time when you're like, maybe this isn't the right move, or have you ever been like butted heads on something and it just sort of seeped into your personal life? Like, has that ever happened to you? Asking for a friend.
How have you made
Yeah, no, so our desks are literally right next to each other at the office, and I wouldn't have it any other way, and I'm not just saying that, because she's probably gonna watch it later, but no, but really,
One
it's
viewer.
really
Let's
awesome.
go.
Yeah, exactly. But really, it's awesome. Of course, we butt heads on certain things all the time. She wants to try doing it some way. I want to do it a different way. It's all the time, but we just try to talk it out and see what's the best way. I guess we both know when we're talking business stuff like that, we're both coming from the standpoint of all we want to do is make the business better. And that's what we pass along to the employees. Anyone can like raise their hand and say like, hey, how about we try this? Like it's not about ego or anything like that. So I think a lot of times like we have this thing of like, hey, I want to be the one to make it right, or be the one to say like, it's this way because of me or whatever. It's always just trying to put all that aside and just saying it's for the business. So that definitely helps. And then we used to work out of our house, and then we got an office. And when that has always been great because we're able to separate kind of like being home and being at the office.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a good one.
That's good advice. Last thing, I promise. Last thing. What is the best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice I've ever gotten was it's kind of like a weird analogy, but like there's players on the field, and then there's the stands and the side on that are watching the game, and it's like you can either be a fan cheering other people on, or you can be on the field playing the game. So you kind of have to decide like where you want to be. I chose to be a player in the game, but of course that comes with the pros. Like there's all this upside, the rewards, but it also comes with critique and putting yourself out there for failure as well. So you got to be able to handle both that come with it, and and be ready for that. If you're on the fans, you don't have to worry about any of it. But when you're playing on the field, you got to be ready for both.
Well, Isaac, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for being
Thank you very
our beta episode. We will have an episode before this that airs, so it's technically not. Yeah, whatever. It's our first episode. This is the first time we've ever
We'll
done
make
this.
sure you get an extra boost.
Thank you, beta.
And And yeah, so it'd be nice that your wife watches it. We'll have
Yeah.
100% increase in watchers. So that's perfect.
Mars too, and then there'll be a
Yeah.
3,
We'll
and
have
then
four.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
have
it.
4 viewers for sure. But
Guaranteed.
but really, really appreciate you coming on, and thank you for taking the time. And look forward to speaking with you
Absolutely.
again soon.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Isaac.
guys. Thank you, guys.